Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with me, Rob Plumbridge, and I'm joined by our usual top tipster panel of Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount. It's officially Christmas time, it's December the 1st, but on last week's show you all got a very early Christmas present from our tipsters. We started the show with both of them tipping up Zanza at 12-1, very, very bullish, the pair of them. They napped it, they put it in their GG columns, and it went into 11-2 at the off, and it duly got the job done. Congratulations to Andrew and Daryl, but they weren't finished there. We had Petite Tonnerre, who was 14-1, placed and tipped by Daryl. Constitution Hill, obviously won, tipped up by Daryl and everyone else in the country. Jericho Rock, 13-2, placed and tipped by Daryl. And then L'Empresse, also tipped by Daryl, won very, very nicely, and also tipped up by myself, won up at Newcastle. Very, very impressive. Fingers crossed we've got more winners for you today. We've got loads to look forward to. It's Tingle Creek weekend up at Sandown, and it's Beecher Chase at Aintree. And it's Aintree where we start. It's 1:30. It's the Many Clouds Chase. It's a grade 2, and we'll say hello first of all to Mr. Daryl Carter.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, I'm very well, very well. It's one of my favourite weekends of the year, this. Absolutely love it. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. A bit under the weather, but we'll get through it. This is a good race. It's not as good as the market thinks it is, I don't think. I think a horse and yours should take a world beating, really. 2 for 2 at Aintree. He does tend to improve at least his RPR every single season after his first run. So I'm happy to write that Weatherby run off, put a line through it. It was just too gassy for me. Hopefully that should have knocked the cobwebs out of him and should have taken some of the fizz off him. Aintree is off. This is his bread and butter, isn't it? Here at Aintree, good soft ground. I think he'll. Dash or Drash is probably going to try and take him on for the lead. We'll just see how that sort of pans out. But I don't think he's one that needs a complete soft lead on his own. I think he's the class act in the race. I can't really see anything taking him or anything beating him or being as quick as him, especially at a track like Aintree, which does favour speed horses. Noble Yakes was the other one that I sort of came close to having a look at, but he was readily outpaced by a horse in Europe Weatherby when they met, and I just could not get away from a horse in Europe. I thought he should have been evens, even a shade of odds on, to be honest. I think we'll learn more about this horse after this run. If he bombs out here, then I think you can just forget about him. But he's got everything in his favour today to go and put up a really impressive performance. So I'm going to stick with the Fav.
Stick with the Fav. No 12-1 nap to start the show this week from Daryl. Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? I don't buy that he needed to run a Hoist Senior. I mean, he jumped out to his right. He made several mistakes, as he often does. I mean, even when he won here at Aintree last season, he did jump out to his right as well. He may just find that, now he's up against, seasoned chasers. He can't get away with that. And, taking 5-4 about, a horse with, that trait seems a bit daft, to be honest. Now, I mean, I was hoping that, he was going to go back over hurdles, so I thought he'd win the long walk. You go back to that Aintree hurdles win, and you look at the number of horses who run in that, gone over fences, then reverted to hurdles to win the long walk. It was several of them, and I think it was Champ included, Thistle Crack. So, it was just my sort of pre-season, before that Weatherby run. I thought it's not impossible that, given his jumping frailties, we'll see him go back over hurdles. He could win a long walk. But that doesn't look like happening, I don't think. I mean, the interesting thing about a Hoist Senior, every time he's lost, if you include his point-to-point form as well, he's bounced back to win at the next time of asking, 5 from 5. But that also applies to Chantry House, who was pulled up last time. Every time he's lost, he's bounced back to win next time, 4 from 4. He's 4 from 4 in his seasonal debuts. He's had a wind-up since that last time out, disappointment. So if you're going to throw a few quid at one, I'd prefer to take a couple again. I'll take him, Chantry House at 11-2, or even Sam Brown. He's got good form at this venue. I know he's a 10-year-old, but he ran a cracker, didn't he? And he was miles ahead of a Hoist Senior at Aintree. It's the kind of race you'll look at it afterwards and think, hang on a minute. One horse is jumping out to the right on a left-handed track, finished out the back of the telly, is now going right left-handed again. Is 5-4. The one who slammed it is 9-1, 10-1. So I'll take Chantry House and Sam Brown over a Hoist Senior. Dash or Drash are up in trip. could do with the ground softer ideally. I'm not sure he will adopt his usual front running role. If they're trying a new distance with him, they might sort of hold on to him a little bit more. But it's a fascinating race. So for the purpose of this video, I'll put up 2 against the Jolly, but I don't think I'll be having a bet in the race. I just want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was keen to take him on as well. I really like Chantry House. He's a funny horse, and it does depend on which Chantry House stands up today. I don't think he's a top tier grade 1 horse, Chantry House, but in this company, I think he can probably mix it. Unblemished record at 4 from 4, 1 from 1 at the course, 9 chase runs and 6 wins. Can't really argue with that. And the drying ground I thought was in his favour as well. So I think he'll be my first selection today as well. I'll take the 11-2 on Chantry House.
Sorry, Rob, would you just worry about Chantry House, the fact that he's been odds on every seasonal reappearance, and the fact that when he won at Aintree, it was because of a fall of someone else?
It is a bit of a sort of a false stat, that isn't it? 'Cause I think one of his wins was like 1 of 2, and he beat the big breakaway, which I know isn't huge. But I just thought of the prices. I was willing to risk a few quid on him starting the season off well. And I just can never get a hoist in your right. So I'm not backing him today, so he'll probably win. So yeah, I will get him on a hoist in your. But that'll move us to the 145 at Sandown. This is the Close Brothers Henry VIII Novices Chase. And we get to see John Bond back out again. Andrew, how are we going to play this race with the odds-on favourite?
Yeah, this is a funny old one, isn't it? I mean, I've bet on a Dunjonk each way anti-post, so I've got the 2 places. Yes, what is he? He's 100 to 1, 66 to 1, something like that. I mean, he's run 2 absolute shockers this season, but most of Jane Williams's horses ran terribly first time out this season because, she said she was about 6 weeks behind where she wanted to be. And since then, she's had a great run with her horses who are having their second start of the season. Favori de Sivola looks like that will have a great chance at Exeter on Friday. And you look at his record right-handed; it's pretty darn good. I mean, his last 5 runs this way round: first, second, first, second, first, first. So I thought Honor Dunshot could actually not necessarily win, but maybe finish second to John Bond or BOOTHILL. I mean, John Bond's all the rage, isn't he? After that impressive win over Montmorel, I noticed that one's ducked the issue again, as you'd expect. BOOTHILL, it was a good race, wasn't it? 65 grand race. It was a good bit of pot hunting last time out. He's 2 from 2 now since going over fences, both times in handicaps. I wouldn't be getting carried away about him at 7-2, but I just think Honor Dunshot will outrun his price now that he's had those couple of runs, now that he's gone from a left-handed to a right-handed track. And I know the Jane Williams yard very well, having had horses with Jane and her ex-husband Nick for many years. They don't tilt at windmills, and you see horses, you think, well, what the hell is that doing in a graded race? It can't win on what we've seen so far. And because they improve with racing, they often surprise. So I'll go on a Dunjonk, but you can't back him each way now because there's 4 runners, but back him to win and put him in an exacta to finish second to the other 3.
Okay, lovely. Daryl, how about you?
I think I'm going to take John Bon on with BOOTHILL. I like John Bond. I like him more this season than I did last season. I hated him last season. My problem still stands with him is that I don't really know where I lie with him. Like in my heart of hearts, I genuinely believe he's like a 150 to 155 horse. Yeah. Like I haven't seen anything that suggests he's a 160 horse. And then sort of like if you do suggest that he's a 160 horse, then Constitution Hill has got to be 180 something, So like, I don't know. I think he's like his Aintree run is probably was good. He showed a good battling attitude against El Fabiolo there over hurdles, and he battled on well at the finish. But he was always well placed. Everything went right for him, and I just think this is one of those horses that everything has gone right for so far. And I'm not entirely convinced that Sandown's going to be his track. It's a stiff finish here. It's a stern jumping test. Look, on the whole, he's not up against a whole lot, but Boot Hill is improving. He will get up this hill. And that's sort of been my issue with John Bon, is his finishing effort. If you look at the Supreme last year, Kilcrook was miles behind John Bon. Now, I know John Bon probably did too much too soon, but everyone keeps saying if you take Constitution Hill out of the race, he's a good Supreme winner. But if you take Constitution Hill out of the race, he's beaten Kilcrook by 2 lengths. So for me, the form is still not there. Last year, you go back to the Grade 2 at Haydock, he's beat Richmond Lake by 3 lengths. Like, it's still not there to warrant his price at the Arkle. So for now, I'm going to take him on because I'm not convinced he's at that sort of Arkle level that every single market tends to hold him at. So Boot Hill at 7-2. I liked the run last time. I thought it was a cracking race, actually. Last time I'd have had Edwardstone to beat Boot Hill that day, but the other 2 I was torn between were Boot Hill and So Scottish. So I'm glad that race worked out the way it did. I think there's more to come from Boot Hill. He's improving. I love the way they brought him along steadily. He jumps well. I think Sandown will suit. So I think John Bon will get a good test today, albeit even if John Bon wins this, I wouldn't be going over the top with him either, because again, the form is not, even beating these, the form wouldn't be there for the Arkle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Just kind of, we'll know a lot more after Saturday, won't we, about John Bon?
Yeah.
Well, I should also mention, of course, I've got Daryl's nap in this sealed envelope here. It's a bit like the Oscars.
John Bon.
I've had a good look at today's cards, and I think I predicted Daryl's nap. So we're going to see if we might
you have
at the end of this video.
Look at this, your weekly feature, I think.
Yeah.
So Daryl's taking on the Red Hot 5 and John Bon. Very exciting, and the prediction from Andrew for Daryl's nap is yet to come. So stay tuned, and we move on to the 205 at Aintree. This is the Beachy Handicap Chase, one of my favourite races of the year. And no, Daryl, take us away with this.
Yeah, tricky race, isn't it? But I actually came down on the Fav guess kill, simply because I thought the run last time was an absolute cracker, and he's very unexposed, very lightly raced. I thought he took to these fences behind our dancer very, very well, and I thought the drop back and trip on that occasion would have been against him, but he ran a blinder, and stepping back up in trip, I think, will certainly suit him. There's got to be loads more to come from this horse. He's gone up 4 pounds, but that's not going to make any sort of difference. I see no reason to oppose him, and every reason to back him. So, guess kill, yeah, keep it simple.
Guess kill, very good. Nice confident selection for Daryl. Andrew, how about you?
Sorry, what was the question?
The feature.
Yeah, a funny old race. I had a look back at the last. I went back to 2010. Only one horse from 64 won carrying 11 stone or more. I think since over the years they keep making the fences easier and easier. They go quicker and quicker, and that weight does seem to tell in this race. And you should have had closer to 5 winners from that sample size. So, and you look at this, and whereas there were like 16 qualifiers carrying 11 stone or less last year, or less than 11 stone. This year it's a little bit different, and we've only got a few. So I was interested in Percussion for Laura Morgan, who I bet each way from out the handicap when he placed in the Grand Sefton last time out. I thought he had a bit of a squeak. And Now Where or When was quite interesting. He's a funny one. He won over 2 miles last time at Downpatrick, which had been way too sharp for him. And bear in mind that he ran against Dussart in the Future Champions Novice Chaser Air over 3 miles, and he stayed on well into third that day. So I mean, you look at his wins, you think, well, he's a 2 miler, but then you look at that Dussart run, and you think, hang on a minute, will he stay? So he's 33 to 1 for Stuart Crawford, who was firing in the winners left, right, and centre at Air the other day. So that's half interesting. Domain Delisle, who ran well in the race last year, I think he was 4th, was he? He could go well again. But yeah, it's 5-star Getaway will improve for that banger run, but he ran pretty well over 2.5 miles. Again, slight stamina doubt. But yeah, I was looking at those towards the bottom of the weights. I'll for the purpose of this video, I'll go Percussion each way.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I like those stats. I think I'll take the Wolf here. Quite impressed with his seasonal debut at Cheltenham. He'll have needed that. Should strip a bit fitter. The ground drying up. I think it's going to get there's not much rain forecast for Aintree, so that'll do him a big favour as well. And I thought at 14 to 1, I think he is now. That'll do for me as a little each way play in that, which takes us back to Sandown. This is the Betfair Daily Rewards Handicap Hurdle, and yeah, we'll go back to you, Andrew.
Funny one. This Love Envoy heads the market, was 3 to 1 on Tuesday on Monday when I first looked at this race, I should say. And the worry is that although she's won 6 from 7 and finished second in the other, all those came in mares only company. Yeah. How is she going to get on taking on the boys for the first time? And you think, well, maybe she's a superstar, she's the next Honeysuckle. And you think, well, maybe at 15 to 8, I can take her on and hope that she's not going to be as effective against the boys as she is against her own sex. So I was looking at I don't think McNamara isn't entered, is he now? He was quite interesting, having won it previously. Home Public, the Ollie Greenwood yard had 2 in this, but both had a good chance on paper. Herbier and Home Public, and it was a case of like, I don't want to back them anti-post because they're obviously only going to run one. Come down on the side of this one. Very strong performance at Weatherby last time on his seasonal reappearance. He could go well again. And Hermes Bay gets the cheek pieces for the Jane Williams yard, and he's been back sort of 14s into 8s. I thought he'd improve for that Worcester comeback run, and again, looking at the others, Marta Tours, interesting, ex-French, first run for Venetia Williams, being given a wind operation. That's a very positive angle for her. Handicappers, hurdles, all fences, Venetia Williams. So it's a tricky one, but yeah, I'll take on the favourite. I'll go Hermes Boy each way, but I do respect Home Public as well.
Lovely. Hermes Boy each way for Andrew. Daryl, are you with Love Envoy against the boys or not?
No, I wouldn't be with her off. Like she's rated 139. That's like in terms of the mares division, that's probably about right. I'm not massively negative on her, but I wouldn't want to be backing her on seasonal return at 15 to 8 in a handicap against the boys off the top weight. It's not really for me, or near top weight anyway. I didn't really have a strong opinion, Rob, to be honest. I thought Playful Saint is a horse that I've kept on side. He was a non-runner for us in the Greatwood. The ground went against him. He should be much more suited to this ground, according to all reports. But I just don't like hold up horses too much at Sandown, and I haven't got a strong opinion to really get stuck in. I thought Friend or Foe was the other interesting one, perhaps Nayati as well. But again, I didn't really have a strong opinion, so can I pass?
You absolutely can. You get 1 a week. 2 if it's a big card.
Yeah, I've got Daryl's pass in this envelope as well, so predicted he would pass on that race.
Excellent. Okay, so both of them taking on the Envoy in that race, and that takes us to 240 at Aintree. This is the Boyle Sports Daily Money Back second handicap chase. We'll spin back to Daryl.
Yeah, Clan Legend for me, 20 to 1. It's massive price, I think. Don't know why he's such a big price. Perhaps it's because they're looking at his age, 12 years old, and just pushing him out of the market. I mean, he's won this race for the last 2 years. He beat Riders on the Storm in this race last year or the year before, and the comparison between the prices is quite strange. Now the ground drying up probably is not going to be in his favour, perhaps, but second time out after a 197-day break or more is sort of the time to catch him. 4 wins from 7 starts. I know he's 12, but this Aintree track we saw with a horse that I tipped last month or the month before, the last day. Horses that like Aintree tend to run continuously well here. That's why Riders of the Storm bounced back in the old Rowan. That was a big effort from him. But I don't see what's wrong with Clan Legend at 20 to 1. I think it's huge. So yeah, the other ones that were on my radar was Gunsight Ridge. I like that horse. He's progressive. And Brave Siaska, but at 20 to 1, I can't really ignore Clan Legend, so I'll give him a go.
Lovely stuff. 20 to 1 there. Clan Legend for Daryl. Andrew, how about you?
No strong opinion here. I haven't spent a great deal of time on this race, but I will probably back the old boy wishing and hoping each way. He's a 12-year-old, but he's 20 to 1. He goes from the front, which is generally what you need on the mile-make course. and he often outruns his big odds. And I put him up. I think it was at the Aintree Festival last year at a big price, and I think he just missed out on a place. He was. He finished sixth. I think we were on each way first five, and he ran well over 3 miles, one here on his return. And coming back to 2.5 won't actually hinder him, I don't think, given his forcing style. Shihali Munro was another interesting one. I thought he needed that comeback run at Weatherby. He does tend to do particularly well at Weatherby, but whether that's just because of it's fairly local to where he's trained, and it's just sort of force of habit. I thought it was interesting he's coming here and not running in a weaker Weatherby race. He won second time out last season, and so I'd give Shelley and Munro and Wishing and Hoping both each way claims at sort of 25 to 1.
Lovely, big prices from the lads. Now I'm going to do a shameless plug now, because I didn't have a selection for this race coming into the recording. However, we have just recorded the very first Sean Bowen GG blog exclusive on the website, so make sure you're looking out for that. And he did have a little glint in his eye talking about Gunsight Ridge, and I think he was quite keen on his chances. I think it's his best chance of the weekend. So yeah, on that basis, I'm going to go for Gunsight Ridge, and hopefully we can get that blog off to a flyer.
That's cheating, that is. That's cheating.
I know, that's famous, isn't it? But there we go. Got to get the plug in. And now,
although jockeys can be the worst tips as worse than trainers. So
to be fair, I think Sean's a bit of a judge. I do think he's a little bit of a judge. So we'll see how he gets on.
I've actually got his note written on.
Well, hopefully we'll get him on the show, maybe going into Cheltenham. But let's have a little look now at the big race of the day. It's the Betfair Tingle Creek Chase, and brilliant news that Shishkin is definitely going to run. We've been promised. He's 100%.
Is the race off, Rob? Is the race off yet? Have they jumped the first fence?
Yes, it's filmed on Thursday, so might be looking very, very stupid if these clips are going out later. But for now, Shishkin is going. The ground is judged to be fine for him. Let's spin over to Andrew. Are you with Shishkin if he runs? Are you gonna look elsewhere?
Yeah, cracking, isn't it? I mean, I'm a big fan of Shishkin, and it's a shame everything went wrong and he pulled up in the champion chase. Hopefully he can bounce back from that. I mean, the market's been turned upside down, hasn't it? Because most people were expecting Shishkin not to run, so Greaneteen was evens earlier on in the week, and now that one's one stage was out to about 3 to 1, I think, into 2 to 1 now. Shishkin 11 to 10, Edwardstone 7 to 1. I mean, Edwardstone is the first run outside of Novice Company, and we saw. I mean, I got that race all wrong, the Holden Gold Cup, but we saw, the Warlord and the third time Luckies. We've seen a lot of horses over the years disappoint in that race. The quicker pace of taking on more experienced, genuine Grade 1 performers. Maybe Edwardstone will suffer that fate as well. Cracking horse though he is, Shishkin could easily bounce back. Wouldn't surprise me. Greaneteen hasn't got the greatest record following a win within the same season, certainly since he graduated to graded company. So I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go backwards here, and so I'd be sort of looking to take him on. Gentleman to me. I mean, he was beaten, wasn't he, when unseating last time out? He does seem to be in campaign mostly left-handed as well. Not sure if they think he's better that way round. The 100 to 1 shot I didn't like. I mean, the one I bet anti-post each way at 25s, hoping it would come up to 4 runners, was Funambule Sivola, just because of his record at the trip. And every time he's gone 2.5 miles, he's generally struggled. He pulled up, didn't he? Never ran no sort of race over that trip at Aintree on his final start last term. But he's second in the champion chase before that. He's had 9 runs since over 9 runs over fences over 2 miles or thereabouts, 6 wins and 3 seconds. So I was thinking, well, 25 to 1 about a horse with that sort of profile, that's a cracking each way bet. I mean, you've got 6 runners now. He's saying the 100 to 1 shot can't win. You've got 5 runners, 2 places. Gentleman to me, Edwardstone there. You're not, all you're looking for is one of the front 2 to underperform, and Funambule Sivola is second. So I'd be backing Funambule Sivola each way, or back him to win and do him in an exacta to finish second to Shishkin perhaps, and maybe Greaneteen. But I think he's going to run a huge race. Had a wind operation since we last saw him as well.
Lovely. Big shout, a big price for Andrew. Before we go to Daryl, I'm going to put up Greaneteen. No prizes for originality, but even if Shishkin goes, I think I was so taken with that performance at Exeter. I think he looks like he's improved yet again over the season. He's a great jumper. Loves Sandown. I thought there's loads to like, and at 2-1, I'm going to take a chance that he exposes any chinks in Shishkin's armor first time out. But Daryl, how do you see it?
Well, Andrew says the 100-to-1 shot outsider can't win, but I wouldn't.
I didn't say can't win. I said I didn't like it. Every horse can win. The other 5 he's got a screw.
I just wouldn't write him off because he's got a fantastic record going right-handed. Anything this horse has done left-handed, just completely ignore. He's got a great record going right-handed, and he did win a race at Fairy House on this day last year. So instead of defending his crown over there, they're coming here. So he must be fit and well to do himself justice. He's probably going to go from the front along with Gentleman to Me. I know people are going to laugh, but I'm going to be with Edwardstone. There's a couple of reasons, right? There's a couple of reasons. Greaneteen, I don't think that performance extra by Greaneteen was as amazing as everybody thinks it is. I know he gave away weight, but again, I said 100 times I'm not a massive fan of weight carrying performances. I thought there was a couple in there that were unlucky. Third time lucky was going really well until he clattered a fence. Warlord never gave his run in, and Dolos was always just lobbing along up at the pace. He's beat Dolos by 7 lengths as far as I'm concerned. That's the way I see it. Obviously, he loves it here. But if you go back to Tingle Creek last year when he won, Edwardstone ran on the same card in the Henry VIII. And Edwardstone was about 16 lengths faster than Greaneteen was that day. So for me, that sort of is like a hidden little gem, if you like, just to the reason to take on Greaneteen. If you go back to Christmas last year when Shishkin won the Desert Orchid, Edwardstone ran on the same card in the Wayward Lad, and he was not far off what Shishkin did there at all. So I don't think he's got a lot to find with the top of the market, not as much as the 7-to-1 suggests he has. He obviously has bolted up here previously. It's probably his best performance. Now, I was one of the people that knocked all the form of the novices last year because I thought it was terrible. I thought it was a poor year. But you have to remember, he was beating them by like 16 and 10 lengths and doing things very, very easily. I can just put a line through his Aintree run because I know Alan King said that he ran his race and, you know, we were just beaten by a better horse on the day. He did start his season off at the 5th of November, and he put in top speed figures like 137, 140, 139, 139. Like he put in big performances every single time he went to the track. So I'm just happy to put a line through that. I think the race is going to probably set up quite nicely for him with Dunvegan and Gentleman to Me going off a good clip. He jumps well, travels well, and like you said, if there's like Shishkin comes here with a little bit to prove, you know, he's had that operation on his back, I believe. We've not seen him since obviously pulling up in the champion chase, and there is a little bit of air of out your surname with him and Ayrton Ergamine, that clash at Ascot. So you don't really know what you're going to get from Shishkin. So I'd rather watch him than back him at 11-10. And for me, I just thought Edwardstone was a little bit underappreciated in the market. So 7-1, I think I'll have to have a play at that.
Brilliant. Love that analysis. Yeah, at 11-10, Shishkin. Yeah, I mean, you can forgive yourself if he gets beat, but if he wins by, you know, going away,
you're not missing out, are you?
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, I love that. So now we move back up to Aintree. It's the Boyle Sports Extra Places Daily Handicap Hurdle, and Daryl, we'll throw it right back at you.
Is he getting that bit of paper out? Getting that bit of paper out. This is the race. Yeah, I like Bold Plan 20-1. He needs his seasonal return every single year, and I thought he showed up quite well for a long time at Kempton. I don't think Kempton suits him at all. If you go back through his profile and you look at his victories, the majority of his victories have come when there's a couple of hurdles in the home straight, so that they can just sit and hold on to him, and then like he can kick after the last. He's not a horse that wants to be running full pelt at hurdles. he looks to be smuggled into races, sit there and then quicken away. Look at Newbury, for example. There's a couple of hurdles in the home straight. If you go back and watch that race, he beat Dorking Boy. He quickened past him after the last. It was the same at Market Raising. They've got a couple of hurdles in the home straight. Taunton, they've got 3 in the home straight. There's just a few places. Exeter, when he won his novice chase, there's 4 fences in the home straight, and he didn't go. He didn't ask him to quicken until after the last. So I think coming to Aintree is really going to suit him, because that's the way these races at Aintree are run. They sort of come round the home bend in a pack, and they sort of sit there, jump the third last. They're sitting there, the second last, and then it's go. And I think that's really going to suit him. He's fairly well handicapped. The trip's fine. Second time out has been the time to catch him in previous years. He's a 20-1 shot. I think there's plenty more to come from. The ground won't be an issue. So yeah, I think he's got quite a good chance. I do like Langer Dan as well, of course I do. But I don't know. He always needs a seasonal return. I just wasn't overly pleased with that seasonal return of Langer Dan. I might have to just back him just for the sake of it, because he's a horse that could easily be a 150 plus horse. He's only 6, but I do like Bold Plan quite a bit. Isabel Williams takes off 3. She gets on really well with him, so I'll go for Bold Plan.
Lovely. Bold sharp from Andrew. Bold from Daryl even. Bold plan. Andrew, what have you got for us in this?
Yeah, tricky one. Herbier, who has been switched from Sandown for this race, he really surprised me on his seasonal debut, because I've often written up Herbier in my sort of GG eye catchers and other columns as a horse who needs his first run, or even his first and second run of the season. I was a bit sort of reluctant to oppose him at Newbury first time up, because he'd have a wind operation. I wasn't sure whether that would affect him, and he's absolutely bolted up 6 lengths on the bridle, so on good ground. But you look at his sort of second, third time out rate, and basically if you sort of chucked out his sort of seasonal debut every year and looked at his record below sort of 2 miles 5, he's sort of virtually unbeatable. Or he's run well in defeating the likes of the Cheltenham Festival. He was 9th in the Martin Pipe last year when he was a 66-1 shot. Just got cheered. Oh, he should have won at Cheltenham next time when I napped him. 15-8 favourite, ridden by a very inexperienced claimant, Henry Brook, taking over. And I just thought, as long as it's not too soft and it's not a stamina test, then he'd have a good chance. The others of interest, Benson, the good old boy who tends to come from out the clouds to finish in the places. I put him up at Haddock last time with sort of 10-1. He's gone off 130 second favourite. Even with the Rule 4, that was a massive gamble. And again, he's got going a bit too late. If there's a strong pace, he could be one to support each way, 16-1 or 20-1 or thereabouts. Romeo Brown was the other interesting one as well, for Sue Smith. Last time out at Carlisle, being a mile, but they went too hard up front that day, and he scuppered his chances by making the running. So I've not looked at the full pace map for this race yet, but if Romeo Brown looks like he might not get too much attention on the front end, then he could go well at 25s as well. But it's a bit of a minefield. Herbier for the purpose of this video and for next week's after timing.
Lovely stuff. Final race of the afternoon is the 3:30 at Sandown. This is the Winners Wear Cavani Menswear London National Handicap Chase. Andrew, back at you. Do you wear Cavani Menswear?
Yeah, and the results are in, and the winner is
Daisha Aber. He's going to put.
Yeah.
I know Daryl loves this horse, and he accidentally backed him last time out at Aintree, thinking it was Sandown. But so yeah, he's just a horse who goes extremely well around here, and that comeback run would have been needed. He was very weak in the betting. He had run well in that same Aintree race the year before, but clearly needed it this time around. His Sandown record, first, second by a nose, second by a head to Lamilos, who of course since then has won that good banger race, and of course won the Coral Hennessy Ladbrokes Trophy Gold Cup thing, whatever they call it nowadays. So I think just very simple fact that Disha Abbott is coming back to Sandown, going back over fences after a needed prep run over hurdles. I thought he'd run a good race. So I saw his name and I saw Sandown. I thought, I'm not going to look at any other horses. That's it.
Lovely. And well, Daryl put us out of our misery. Has he got it right?
It's not the Nat, but he has got the selection right. To be fair, yeah, I completely thought it was between the top two in the market, Dacia Aber and Revels Hill. Revels Hill was improving. He's been crying out for a stiffer test like this. Last time he went over a mammoth trip at tournament start back in March, he won very comfortably. He's a nice horse, but he's never been to Sandown, and as we know, Sandown can be a tricky test. So I like to stick with tried and tested. Dacia Aber can finally get his head back in front.
Lovely stuff. Half a point there for Andrew. You got the horse. But speaking of which, now with final bit of business is first of all, any other selections from anywhere else, gentlemen? Daryl, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I got loads.
Oh, excellent.
Right, I've got one I'm pretty keen on. I'm really quite keen on this horse. And it's in the Grand National Trial in the Welsh Grand National Trial 137 at Chepstow, and it's Southfield Harvest for Paul Nicholls. Now, I put this horse up last time on seasonal return, been off for a very long time at when he ran at Fontwell in the Southern National. He jumped terribly. Like, it was only his second start over fences, but it was in such contrast to his Newton Abbott Chase win. It was ridiculous. He jumped really poorly, but he stuck in the race for so long. I was expecting him to be pulled up. They stuck at him for so long, and he stuck in there for ages. And then until one mistake became too many, just as he was sort of making ground, then Bryony Frost pulled him up. It's interesting that he goes to Chepstow. He won his bumper here. And it's interesting that Paul Nicholls sticks cheek pieces on for the first time. And Paul Nicholls got a 33% stroke rate when putting cheek pieces on horses for the first time at Chepstow, I believe I'm right in saying. And this horse is completely unexposed. He's 25-1. He's completely unexposed. He is definitely a stayer in the making. He's only 8. He's very lightly raced. He's been dropped £3 for that run at Fontwell. Angus Chilida takes off another 5, so he's effectively £8 lower. Low weights in this race have got a great record. He's carrying 10 stone 2. And I thought it was interesting that Paul put Secret Investor in here as well, as the top weight of 12 stone. So he sort of controls the weights there. And at 25-1, I think he's going to have a big shout. Want to go elsewhere, don't we, as well? Sorry, I was getting too excited then. 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock at Sandown. If authorised speed is anywhere near, I don't know, like if he's anywhere near evens, a shade of odds on, back, he won't be beat. That's the Tolworth winner, in my opinion. 12 o'clock authorised speed. 110 at Sandown. Copperhead, I think it's going to go well back over hurdles. I think he's got a big chance back on soft ground, back at Sandown where he bolted up last time. 11:45 Aintree. Thought Strong Leader would go well. I hope Tom's getting all these, but that's it, mate. That's it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Authorised speed, very, very exciting horse. Andrew, what have you got?
7:20 at Wolverhampton, King of the South to Peter Expert, who won that at Newcastle last time out. He won this race last year by almost 4 lengths. Again, I've not seen any prices yet, so could be even money, could be 2-1. Hopefully no shorter than that. What else have we got at Sandown? Yeah, that one Daryl mentioned, authorised speed, is interesting, though. There is Henderson's won this multiple times, including with Constitution Hill last year. He's got an ex-French horse who sort of could be anything, so it's a bit of a tricky betting race. But in the 12:35 at Sandown, I did like one of Harry Fry's Whiskey Express, who fits the trends for this race. It's been a bad race for horses aged 7 or older, and I thought she needed that run at Exeter last time out when
ground was too quick as well.
Into 4th place. And again, yeah, her form's on softer ground. And in the 110 Bridge North, this is the Pertemps qualifier. Yeah, Copperhead was on my shortlist. One that Daryl mentioned. He's 2 from 2 right-handed in handicap hurdles. And I thought he'd be interested this season back in this sphere. But the one I'm going to side with is Bridge North for Henry Daly, who's had a good start to the season. I thought this one needed his comeback run at Aintree when finishing 5th to Peking Rose. That wasn't a bad effort. And again, he's another one who will appreciate the longer trip and softer going.
Lovely stuff. Plenty of other selections from the lads. Obviously, you can find all of their selections ahead of the weekend on their GG.CO.UK columns. And that just finishes just to get your nap. So, Daryl, it's not decent aber. What is your nap?
Yeah, it's going to be bold plan at 20-1 in the 3:15 at Aintree.
Lovely stuff. Andrew?
I'm tempted to go with Disharaba after all that, but I'll go Funambule Sivola in the big race, the Tingle Creek.
Oh, big price naps. I think I will take Chantry House and take a chance that he's going to be the right Chantry House today. And all that leaves now is for me to say a very, very big thanks to Daryl and Andrew for all their hard work this week. Thank you for watching. Good luck with all your bets, and remember to gamble responsibly.